This is the second video that covers what to do on a service call for a crawlspace that has an ACE controller installed. There's a previous video that goes over what to look for in general in the crawlspace. Please watch that first. To get started, go to the display, which should be located inside the house, garage, or a place visible to the homeowner. While at the display, write down all of the readings on the screen. On the ACE model, you can use the I button to scroll forward more quickly. This should include things like temperature, relative humidity, dew point, which would be inside and outside for all readings. The display may also show a wood moisture reading and/or a model name. Before you continue, take a moment to see if the readings seem logical. Then, look to see if there's a red alert light. If so, note the warning message on the screen. If you are unsure of what to do, do not hesitate to call ATMOX for assistance. It is best to call while you are on site so we can help you with troubleshooting. Now, we are going to test all of the components attached to the controller. Before you begin testing, it is important for you to know which components are actually installed on the house. For example, is the house using exhaust and intake fans? Is it using internal fans? Is it using a dehumidifier? And does it have lights installed? The first step is to hold the home button on the bottom of the display for about 5 seconds until the screen changes to say Settings/Testing. You will use the I button to scroll forward. This will take you through a series of questions. Look to make sure that each of the questions is answered correctly. Y equals yes and N equals no. We do not recommend making changes to default settings unless you have an unusual setup or a crawlspace. As you scroll forward, you may come to a screen that will say Red Output Test 15 minutes. When you get to this screen, it will have an N for no. At this time, you should press the Y button on the display. Then press I to save the change. This manually starts any components attached to the red output, which is for the exhaust and intake fans. At this time, you need to physically go look at every single fan to make sure they are working properly. You can usually do this by walking around the perimeter of the house. This is a good time to take a small brush and gently brush off each fan you are testing. If any fans are not working, then you need to determine why. It could be an issue with wiring or the fan itself. Once again, for any problems, please do not hesitate to call ATMOX for help. When you are done testing the exhaust and intake fans, come back to the display. If it took you less than 15 minutes, you need to press the N button to stop the test and press I to save the change. At this point, the display will go to the next test option depending on what the controller has installed. If the crawlspace has internal fans, you will then start the test for the orange output test. You will then press Y to start the test and I to save the change. Then, physically go test and clean all internal fans. Once again, checking for proper operation. When complete, stop the test, press N, then I to save the change. The yellow output test will be next if there is a dehumidifier. Begin the test with Y and then I to save the change. Go check the dehumidifier. While there, also check any condensate pumps are also working properly. Back at the display after testing, the final possible test is green output for lights. Start the test and check each light for proper operation, once again pressing Y and then I to save the change. When finished with the final test, press I to scroll forward. Depending on the ACE model, the software number is either at the beginning or end of the menu. If you are filling out a report, this may be important information to add. You can tap the home button at any time to get out of the menu. If everything is working correctly, you are all set and your testing of ATMOX components is complete.